Right, everybody, it's 1 minute past, so we're not going to wait. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to start now. Councillor Melton is meant to be attending, so no doubt he'll be here shortly. I am chairing this meeting because Dr. Williams is currently on holiday. So welcome everybody. The public forum will be at the beginning of the meeting, and there's a total of 10 minutes for all of you. So you're going to speak, please can you make it precise and to the point, and don't ramble, otherwise I'm going to have to cut you off at the pass. Okay? Thank you. Right. Any other apologies for absence?
Yeah, we've had obviously Paul, Bill Pugh and Chris Dawson.
Right, okay. Anyone who's declaring conflicts and pecuniary interest on any items in the account agenda? If you've written anything off, you can do so when the subject is actually raised. No? Has everyone got the minutes from the last meeting so that we can approve them? Please, are they approved? Yes? Yes, that's fine, approved. Right, the public forum. Thank you for attending. If anybody would like to speak? David, you look as you're prepared.
You know what it's still got here something. Yeah, just one small point. I was down the health centre today, and I think there's things on the road really. The road that leads into along the Storm Site to the actual park itself is in a very poor state of repair. The potholes getting very deep now, and as the winter progresses, and then full of water, and it will get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I would suggest that some of those use some influence on the Borough Council. It's their property, and this is what we pay yearly fee for, along with all the other local parish councils. That's about £3,000 per year, and since it's been going, my recommendation was at least £50,000 in front, so they've got money to do it. And that's what that money is worth for. So before that gets too rough and trying to hurt themselves, that road should be fixed.
Yes, if I can reply in the public section, I will deal with that because ongoing issues that we have with the service, etc. And I'm contacting him, Matthew Henry, and we'll get it sorted.
Thank you, and myself as well, how bad it is.
I'm trying to avoid going down the doctor's so, fingers crossed, I haven't looked.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Linda Marcelia, and myself and my husband moved here on the 15th of December. So far we've found everybody lovely in the village, so thank you for that. I've already raised the concerns mainly about traffic and the speed in which traffic is going through. Certainly from our end, Dovecot Road, through to School Road, obviously a school on that road. So we were told it was 30 miles an hour. I didn't see any signs, to be honest, but I did see them at the beginning of the road from March to 30 miles an hour. But it doesn't seem that many people understand that it should be 30 miles an hour. So spoke to Melanie to kindly talk about moving the
Speed awareness.
yeah, which I think you did three holes.
It's gone to 3 holes because we didn't have the bracket to put it down Dovecot. But once it goes somewhere for 2 weeks at a time,
Yeah.
so we'll go 2 weeks down to 3 holes, and then hopefully, now we've got a piece of equipment that we can use as well, we'll be able to put it at least down School Road. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, those bracket boys from school and started to be very difficult on my road. Very short space there, and there are so many cars down there. So it would be hard to find a spot, but
Yeah, I don't expect them to monitor our little bit of road. I just think that whole stretch, the way that the speeds they're coming through, it would school road as well. So I just wanted to highlight it as a concern. And the other reason we come here today is because we knew about the meeting and we thought we'd come and say hello and would like to be part of, you know, things going forward if possible. So, you know, we've moved to the area and would like to contribute in something.
Oh, yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right, to discuss and consider the action log.
No, not at this stage, because I don't think any issues that have come along are answered promptly, with resolving as we go. So hopefully there aren't any more at the minute, but as they come along, we'll deal with them.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Right, on the action log, we have the village feature on the riverbank opposite the church. I don't know if we've had any pictures. Do you have any updates on that?
Survey been completed, which is the ground seeking and grounds, the grounds and drawings.
Okay. And that's as far as we've got, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Move that on there, I can move that on here. Yep. Issues with 20, the A1101. I believe this was during highways. Nothing was done last time.
No, so I've spoken to Chris Dawson, and he said the works have been ordered with the contractor. They're waiting for sign delivery so that directed this financial year, he has said. So just fingers crossed on that one.
Go on to netball. Rod. Rod, sorry, I will end you.
Yes, I have found a graphic designer that will do it, which is a massive positive. He's given me an estimate for the top end of £200. So if we can at some point agree to that, I can give him a go ahead. It's not something we've done before, so it's going to take a little while, but he's more than happy to give it a go. The estimate is a top end estimate, it won't be any more than £200. Based on the quotes I've had before, between 650 and 2,500, I think it's worth looking at, but it's completely up to you guys, so we can move forward with it. He's a local guy as well, so his local business is only in Friday Bridge. He's done a few bits for me before, and I mentioned it to him. He's had a look at the website that we've built, and he's more than happy to crack on. So we just need a yes that we can move forward, and then we can move forward.
I would like to propose that we go ahead. We have plenty of funds in this year's football budget, and whilst we've been trying to find a way to get this to work for a very long time, so at a maximum cost of £200, I propose to go ahead.
Anyone like to second that motion? Richard? Thank you. Yes, you can go on. Right, what's next? The solar lights on low side. Jill, have you got an update?
Yes, I have indeed. I received this at 5 o'clock tonight, and it says that I will, however, have some dates to advise within the next few days. I will forward this information as soon as possible.
Well, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Right, 29 Dovecot Road, the building that's partially collapsed. This was with the council, I believe. Again, it's with highways. Does anybody, do you, Colin, have any update on this one?
No, I didn't have any reply, both highways and the building control.
Right.
I should have thought of that when I was building control on the ground, I didn't think of it. I'm still struggling with another thing, I'm sorry about that.
So that's still ongoing, I'll have to leave it on there.
Okay, right, now.
So I think this one's now finished, the land office.
The land
school
office
at the
school,
time.
yeah.
That's because this is now being cut, even though it's only been tickled rather than.
Just on that board, should we not take the vote on that board as well? We've got proposal in a second, but should we not do a vote on anything?
Yes, by all means, yes. Would you like all now some votes on the back board, yes? Sorry about that. So is everyone happy with the land office school to come off of the...
No, because it has, as Melanie said, it's just been tickled. There's a branch that lays and it's pointing out towards the road. If somebody tried to draw off there, they'd get a dent inside of the car.
Right, so it still needs...
It still needs a lot of tidying.
Okay.
Apparently Chris Dawson's going to go down there this week as it's half term and have a look for himself
Well, it's my fault.
to see what's going on down there.
It always belonged to the school when I was there because I used to take the children on there. And they used to keep it tidy, so the community service.
I understand that you can't do the verge at the
No, you
moment.
can't
so
do anything.
It needs to be taken back
Yeah.
to the verge, yeah. Okay. Fair enough, we'll keep it on there. Mama Priory, I believe that started.
Anyway.
Is that the hedge very much to the side? Well, for the parking bay, you cannot park in the parking bay because the hedge is over the fence by that much. And Andrew will vouch for that as well.
A bit more than I said.
Yeah, I would think it's more than that.
Right, so are we saying they've done some of it but
Well, he's just trimmed around the post. You can see the post now.
They put new posts down,
Have they?
down the other week.
I think they cut it when I was there.
Yeah.
But as I say, the actual parking bay is overhung and that all belongs to the gentleman who's responsible for the bit around the post.
Right, okay.
I did copy Chris in, I think I copied Chris Dawson into my email and photos that I took, from the parking bay onwards. And so it's not actually an official parking bay, but it wouldn't hurt, not the county council actually made it an official parking bay, because when you go along there, in between the two corners, if you meet a big vehicle, you've got nowhere to put them off anyway. That's why it's unofficially made as a parking bay, a bit wider, but I mean, the hedge, you wouldn't walk fully across the hedge without scratching your car or your van.
Okay, so is Chris Dawson actually looking into this? Or
I don't know, I mean, I copied you in, I think I probably found it.
I believe it is, because he mentioned somebody wants me to come and see him. So that's probably what he's talking about.
Okay, all right, so you and Chris are dealing with this, okay.
I mean, that's what, you've got a post and rail fence, and there's no reason whatsoever why the hedge shouldn't be cut that hard to post and rail fence.
Right. Okay. All right, well, leave that in Chris and Colin's capable hands in now and see what happens.
There's also the hedge as you go just past the top of Thurlands. I think we've had problems with him before because I think your dad cut his hedge and he went out. But his hedge is long as well and you can't draw off there.
Is this a new one?
This is a bit before you get to the one we're just talking about.
Have we got photographs?
Okay, that's very good.
Yeah. Can't you take some photographs and we can put that on the next time, the next meeting?
Sign from there, they put a fence down years ago, and then set hedge between the fence and the road on Grass Road.
Okay, right, noted, we'll have that on the agenda for the next time in the afternoon. Right, taking over the cemetery.
So I had an email from Chris Black to say basically because of COVID they haven't got any further forward for debt. Paul has said you seem to be blaming COVID because it should have been sorted out in January, but there hasn't been then another answer back from Chris Black. So Paul and him are in sort of negotiations. They're happy that we want to take it over, but obviously we're waiting for them to make a bit more of a formality out of it before we can go any further. The plans have been drawn up for extending into the allotments, but I haven't done anything with those until we've got this formalised.
Okay. So do about any chasing?
Paul's doing it.
Paul's doing it.
Yeah. Well, Paul and I, but Paul's mainly doing it.
Right, the obstruction that does style, I think is ongoing, and I think there is something happening at the council level regarding that, and Chris Dawson, I believe, is looking into it. We've got an update at the moment, so we're going to come back to next meeting. And we might be intended. Right, Baptist, right, the Baptist Road Dyke, the middle level apparently are happy. Yeah, apparently, the Middle Commission are saying there isn't an issue. But looking at Councillor Shorten's space, I'd say that's not her
Oh,
opinion.
I'm not happy with it, and I don't think some of the residents out there, because there's no way you can get off unless you walk across the other side of the road. And when you get cars coming down there that they do, there's no bank there at all.
Right.
Councillor Rose has been down and had a look.
Yeah.
I'll say so.
Perhaps we need them to go back to the Middle Level Commission and address this again and actually tell them that there are parishioners, villages that live in that area and it's a danger. Where is it in fact?
It's on Lady Hurst Corner,
Right.
coming from Newbridge, it's on the right hand side.
Okay.
Just past the top of Ford Road.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I did wonder what time they were there. Okay, next one action log is Jubilee Cottage. You requested H3 again, B1094, Diamond Jubilee Cottage.
Chris Dawson says that this isn't a high priority to get done, and it will be done when the contractors are back out that direction.
The junction at Tips End, which is the A.1101 again, I think it's the same arteries and that isn't it, and consistent. But this is on the order of the next financial year along with carriageway markings, and it's suggested to go that forward to October. Has anyone got any comments on that?
That's the next one.
Right, the next one, as Andrew said, is it says to investigate the replacement of the mirror, but Andrew has already kindly done that for us. Thank you very much. It's on site.
So just a minute, thanks, just quickly, just on hold. And next one is to explore the possibility of moving the bus stop. This is at West End.
That's also on the agenda.
Yeah, it's also on the agenda, so we'll, there's actually a report on that, so we'll move that on and we'll talk about that a bit later. The next is to request that the highways engineer visits Coxon Road with a view to examine the level of repair stroke maintenance. I believe you chose highways.
I did. Apparently they have been out to look at it. We've got no further dates about when they're going to start the work. I suggest we probably diary that for July time to see if they've started it.
Okay, I suspect it's probably puts under the banner of the Crystal Dawson's already advised that you'll have to be in the next financial year.
Yeah.
Right, Lake End Sewage, Colin.
I can do it. Yeah. That was I've put in the hands of David, whoever the commissioners, is David who changed privilege, and nothing happened, so I changed privilege myself. And now I've got a new person who can ask the whole property. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of whether or not we have the right to renew the estimate. If not, I'm just going to London and today to ensure the government estimate, and then they can go to say, like, previously on paper. But if the people who do the excavating and that sort of stuff, using a approved contractor, then
That's the end of the action. The next item on the agenda is 7 to approve Robin Gorman to complete the internal audit for 2022. We need a proposer and a seconder for this.
I'll just tell you briefly, because we usually use Helen Carrier from Denver. She's stopped doing it, unfortunately. I was given 4 names. 3 of them are right over sort of Yarmouth way, so it's a long way for them to come. This Robin is the closest one. Roughly speaking, it's going to be about the same amount of money, so about £55–60 for the internal audit. As I say, that's the closest one that I can get, where I can either travel to them or they travel to me. Hopefully we can do the majority of it on Zoom, but I don't know how much that they'll want to see, because obviously it's not somebody that we've used before. It's just really, so it's just really to approve Robin to do the internal audit. So,
It makes sense, doesn't it?
yeah, the best I can get, the closest.
Right, reports from individual councillors. We've got quite a few reports that to go through, but initially, can we look at the planning application that Andrew has provided? Is everyone happy to accept the advice from the planning group or any comments?
Going back to comment on one of the applications that the planning group reviewed. It's the one just across the way from here, where it's asked to change of use and extend the garden on one of the new plots, the first one near Fairham Close. I had a check on the planning board over the weekend, so I was keeping an eye on various planning applications, and I can understand there's still no drawings associated with that planning application. The planning application originally only consisted of 2 letters from Swan Edwards. One of them, I can't remember what the wording was, but the second letter was sort of saying, oh, we provided terms of detail, can we basically presume that this is going to go ahead? But, you know, given the outline of what they want to do, but there's no actual drawings showing the area behind the new house, what they want to extend to as taking in extra garden for change of use. So I don't know. That's something doing. How the Borough Council can make a decision without the drawings.
No, what you need to do, Andrew, is write back to the Parish Council in a formal fashion to say that we've had this to look at in order to make a recommendation. Could you please furnish us on the website with the full details, please? We can't make a decision.
Yeah, I did include that amongst 2 or 3 bullet points that at the time the Parish Council responded, there was only 2 letters associated with the application, no other drawings.
Yeah.
But, you know, probably some of the Borough Council haven't still tweaked it, and when I had a look the other day, there's still only in correspondence letters.
Ping me the number, Andrew, and I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you. So I'm just a little bit concerned with that application because all of the...
Can I just ask, did you refuse on the basis that you couldn't ascertain the detail, or you refused because you didn't like the thought?
I think there's 4 points. One sort of truth, there was no drawing, so you couldn't determine what the area was.
Right.
The main one that I'm concerned with is that when those building plots were first applied for, they went further back. And when you look at the original planning application, that then triggered the affordable housing trigger. So then they made the area smaller, so it fell under the trigger for the affordable housing. So my argument is that they got the planning permission for the 5 buildings as they are now, if they allow one of the dwellings to extend the garden and have a change of use, that then sets a precedent for all of them to say, oh, can we extend our garden full? Then you're ending up with a development site of the same size that was
I know
altered in the
exactly what
first
you get,
place.
but I'm not making a comment on
No.
it, as you know, because
We know
I
what I'm
do,
kind
but
of going
I
to
will ask that question. Don't you worry.
So, now my concern is that it makes it a lot smaller to get under the trigger.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
as I put in our reply, or Melanie forward, that we
Yeah.
appreciate that these are now individual owners, but in effect, if all of them get wind, that we can now extend our gardens, it then makes the development site the original size potentially you thought it was, which, had it been allowed, would have triggered the affordable housing. So I'll ping you the reference number,
Yes,
and then we can just have a look at it
Okay,
for us.
yeah,
Thank you.
I will ask for you then.
Yeah, thank you, really. Yeah, other than that, I'm happy with all the decisions we made.
Okay, moving on. The next one on the agenda is to discuss electric vehicle charging.
Was a car that was parked outside the Airbnb near the post office with the cable protruding across the road and coming down with some hazards. So I've had a little look into on-street residential charge point schemes. As we discussed, we could do with a charging point or two or more in the and being that the majority of the homes are either have no off-street parking or it's just going to be specifically for them. You could look at something on a community basis. So there is a program called the On-Street Residential Charge Point Scheme, which allows us to place a charging unit in a public car park. The issue being is that the only public car park is at the surgery, and it's who owns that car park?
Down.
Borough.
Yep.
Okay, so from a parish point of view, we couldn't apply for the grants and the funding that's available because it's the parish that doesn't own it. But from a borough point of view, they possibly could. So on that basis, then we could forward this information on, possibly speak to somebody that's in charge of that's looking into this, and then maybe we can get something put there. The criteria basically states that the car park needs to be open 24/7. We could put something here on the hall, but the car park is then accessed through another car park that isn't open, so that doesn't meet the criteria, etc. But there's funding grants available up to about 13,000 for these units, and they wouldn't come to that. So in theory, so the funding is there for it. But local authority.
We need to speak to is Paul Coons, K-U-N-E-S. You ping that email to him.
Yeah.
He'll be in charge of the environment and things like that.
Okay.
So if that helps. If not, come back.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do for you. Thank you.
Just a note on that, I've actually spoken to the owner of the Airbnb, absolutely lovely chap. He was really horrified that whoever was in the Airbnb at the time put that cable across the car park. And he's going to put a notice up somewhere in the property to say you're not allowed to do that. So hopefully that won't happen
I
again.
mean, it does create very difficult, but I think we discussed last time when we brought this up, that the nearest charging point is Tesco's as we speak.
Yeah.
And so therefore if people are coming here for a training and we want them to use the facilities, etc., then I think we should look at providing the situation. Unfortunately, it's up there and not down that end of the village, but it's about the space.
Yeah.
And then will you contact Mr.
Jones,
Yes, yes, Paul. Yes.
I'll send you.
If you can send me what you've got, yeah, that'd be perfect.
If you can copy me in as well?
Yeah,
Yes, you
will do.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the communications working party meeting that happened last. Paul has sent round the report that he did, I will read it out to you. Right. The group makes the following recommendations to council. Point number 1. During the meeting, the group felt that there had been interest in the videos put online for the last few meetings, and it was worth investigating live streaming meetings on the internet. Councillor Shaw undertook to research the issue. He reported to the council the need to invest in hardware and software to enact this idea. There will also be logistical issues with the way we stage meetings for it to be done successfully.
The estimate for the initial outlay will be in excess of £400, and training will be needed to ensure the project was successful. The group noted that no provision exists in the budget this year or in the 2020-23 for this expenditure. We recommend that precise costings are obtained and that the council asks the public in the next newsletter and on the Facebook page, etc., if the parishioners wanted to spend money and go down this route. So, if we break this up into sections, on this first part, I think I've got any comments on that already in the communications. Okay. Can we take it that the council agree that we will ask in the next newsletter on Facebook page if parishioners wanted to spend this money with their opinion before going forward? We're happy with that, yes? Right. Point 2, the group recommends to council that we set up an Upwell Parish News website to run in parallel with our official council website and Facebook page. Councillor Shaw has also investigated this and has set up a sample page for councillors to view. You've got the address in your report. It will be active until mid-February.
This was set up purely as a trial, so that we can, and that's just July. So if you could have a look at it when you get a couple of minutes, just give me feedback on it, and then we need to make this quickly.
Sure. In this instance, you'll have to pay the domain name and for the page itself. The cost will be £12 for the first 2 years for the name and £12 a year thereafter for the page. The cost is around £7.99 a month, which is £158 a year. Council Shaw is investigating sponsorship for this site. The communications group are not keen for the council to engage in currently available social media, but the new website would have the functionality for parishioners to have discussions with the council. So the idea is that the existing web page is purely for council business. This would be more a communication vehicle for parishioners to us, the council.
It's a it's not open to debate, it's purely based on something I asked was from November to January I received lots of emails regarding on road closures, benefits to people over Christmas, festival meals, etc. And this information seems to kind of come to us and stop. So the theory behind this and why I looked into this would be exactly that. This is what's happening locally. It's all about news and information and sharing and transparency and where we want to go with it all. So it's purely that. It's not for social debate. It's not for getting into arguments with people or discussions with people. It's purely information based. But there will be a section that should someone want to register an issue, which will then be forwarded on to many as it anyway. It just makes it a little bit more open. That was purely what it's for.
I'm pleased to hear that you're taking this bill forward, because I think it would also be helpful if you, well, I don't know if you have, but if it is possible, that you actually put what a parish council does, the jobs that you can do, the jobs that the borough can, and the jobs that the county can, because there is a crossover and a muddle with people. They don't always know which one to do, and you know, we have these sort of, unfortunately, these 3 levels, and it is hard for people to know which one to go to. So if you could say, well, look, if you've got a planning issue, so me or Colin, if it's with the borough, or if it's highways, and you go and see Chris. But that never really seems to get out as much as I think we should hope for, and it would be helpful.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was building it, just to put basically a sample together, there was a couple of things I looked at. Upwell Council were offering various things like winter payments, etc.
Yeah.
It's not advertised anywhere, so that's something for that. But it is investment purely for that. Once it's up and running, should it become up and running, then anybody on the council borough, candidate, etc., that wants to add something to it, it's not a problem. So yeah, that definitely can be a problem.
Yeah, please.
So no existing website.
It does, but speaking to Melanie regarding the template that we use, it's quite complicated to add it in, extra pages in, and getting the links working, and then it becomes all-encompassing parish council website, and then it's where you find that information. And what we've had before, from what I've understood, is that it's quite difficult to navigate the site to find the information that's relevant. So the theory behind it was just that, yeah, it can be done that way, yeah, but this was to try and open up a bigger, fresher looking site. Not just the rocket
In the last 3 years, we've had 4 new websites.
Right, okay.
You definitely have to. One just
I'm aware of
before I
that, yeah.
started, then we've had mine, and I think, like you say, I think there was another one before that.
I think they were improvements on it.
They were, oh yeah, they
Yeah.
were improvements, yeah, but that's been, when you get to what we say, what works for us.
Yeah, I think that from what we've discussed, I think the parish council website covers everything it needs to for the parish council, as in relation to who we are, what we do, minutes, meetings, etc. This was purely news and information based.
Oh, see, you definitely 100% agree with it, I'm just can't support the contact with which is their function of being a customer business. Yeah, we make the newspaper and that work, and the way you're suggesting is good.
It just depends on the limits of what we can add to it, because I believe it's quite a basic template, and this is a little bit more awe-inspiring, if you like. It's a little bit more modern, up to date, fast moving. It's more suitable for. I think the website we currently got works great on a laptop or on a PC, but not so great on a phone. This is a little bit more orchestrated, so it's more mobile for that. So that's the work that I've done on it. This is purely was an idea, and therefore I've just sort of knocked something up so you can see it and get the gist of it. But it also incorporates all 3 villages. So something that's been brought up quite a lot is that everybody else, whenever you mention the word Upwell Parish Council, no one mentions Parish Council, they just say Upwell. But there's the small things where people feel that they're missing out and not included, which is obviously the change behind the logo to include those villages. And this is the same. There'll be a page for Upwell, page for Freehouse, page for Lakes End. It's just to be a bit more inclusive. And it's easier to do that on the new template than it is to try and bring things along. But yeah, purely up for discussion, it was just an idea.
Couple of points, Rob. I mean, normally in a very, very busy lady, and I think there's something like this that she didn't actually have to opt. Probably a very good idea. How are you going to respond to it? And would you do the admin? Would you be the...
Second question first, yes, I will do it again.
Right.
Because it's run on exactly the same principle as the one that I did for Village Hall. So not a problem.
Right.
Sponsorship, I've asked 2 or 3 people. One guy is 2 of appointment with, and one is ahhing. But the gentleman that I spoke to regarding the sponsorship of the hall, I've spoken to him regarding some donations, etc., for different projects, which may or may not happen. So on the basis of that, I've gone back to him and said, look, can we take part of that and move it to this? So I'm just waiting for him to double check that and come back to me. But there is a possibility that the sponsorship will be there, and therefore it's paid.
Right. Well, I think that is probably fairly critical. I haven't got the budget, because I don't know what we've got to do the budget.
There isn't a budget for the communication element, I don't know.
It is, right, so it is dependent entirely on funding.
Only 2 points really. Last on the website, it was municipal councillor, obviously that councillor left, and we took the decision not to have a councillor administering the website because we couldn't control it. So we found that whether we should employ somebody to do that, or whether no one was better than doing it is a question. But whether
I would
council
still
should-
carry on doing our website, our parish council website, but that wouldn't change.
Yeah.
The account that this would be set up on would be set up through the council, and the information would be shared. So that should I not be available for whatever reason, then it can be taken on by someone else if that's okay.
2 websites.
But this is a separate, this is just Upwell News, or Upwell Parish News. It's just, there was a lot of emails over Christmas. This is the main thing that makes me think of it. But there's road frontage. So it was purely, but they don't go anywhere. So we've had this website for 4 websites over the last 10 years. that information gets sent to us via email, and that's where it stops.
It's how, all I say is it's hard enough to get people to look at one website, you don't need them to look at two websites.
It would need a bit of promotion, it would need a bit of pushing, but the two can link together. So you could potentially use the news element of the existing website with a link to push it to the new one. There's no reason why we can't push that through Facebook page, social media, etc. So once it's out there, it's out there. It's just pushing it and making it known that that's where you can go to find it. I think ultimately you sign this up for 12 months. So I think if we was happy to vote on it moving forward and take a gamble, if we can get sponsorship, it's fine. It's not costing us anything. If we're struggling, we're looking at 160 quid. And if in 12 months' time we see less than 500 visitors, or we see a massive depreciation in visitors from the other website, then we pull the plug. If we don't try it, no one will ever know. It's purely an outcome.
I just wanted to add, I know we talk about websites and Facebook, but we do have 25% in our community that do not use that vehicle of communication. So please, whenever you make a decision, think of those that won't go on Facebook or anywhere.
Yeah, this was purely based around one element out of a few discussions of what else we can do. And I think it was agreed that no more notice boards around the village, etc. But we're also working with a communication group that was set up in partnership with the newsletter, etc. So the three groups are together. So that it's whatever can go on there can still go in the newsletter. We're looking for new things to add to the newsletter on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And these emails still keep hitting this brick wall. They don't go anywhere. When I asked the question is who sees these emails, where do they go from us? I was told you can tell your friends and family. That's not a way of communicating information to the village. Because I don't have any family here, or very many friends. So I've only been here a couple of years. So that email comes to me, I read it. I know that much going. Does anybody else? So it may or may not have an impact on the village, but I think it needs to be shared, regardless of how we do it.
I agree with what Rob said about emails regarding road closures and that. I send them to friends and family, etc. But why can't we post them on the discussion page or on the home watch page or whatever it's called?
A lot of them get posted on there anyway.
Well, and that's where people use Facebook more than they do a website. I very rarely look at websites.
Yeah. It was just something that we could set up, that we discussed with the communication group. As I say, I'm not pushing it. If it's a defunct idea, it's a defunct idea. It was purely just the outcome of this meeting, that it was something we can link everything together.
I think it's a good idea, so I think it's a good idea, but no, there's another website on there as well, that's what we were talking more about now.
No, that's a different. What that is, if I can get to it, sorry. What it is, the newsletter, the Parish Council newsletters on the previous website that Melanie was talking about, were on there. All the previous newsletters were on that website. And when the website got revamped for the 5th time, or whatever it may be, they disappeared. Prue and myself have spoken to Steve, Thompson, sorry. And he's got all of these in Word documents. So because we've got nowhere to upload them at the minute, what I've done is I've created a PDF out of the old Word documents. So from 2006 to current, and now in the back of the Village Hall website, as PDFs that are downloadable, purely until we get to a point, because I was trying to take some workload away from Melanie regarding the website, because it took me 3 days to upload them. And I said I'll put it on there. There's a link there. Now there's a link on the Parish Council website that says if you want to read previous backdated copies, click this link, which will then take you to straight to the page for that. So that's what that's for. It's just getting out more information into the public domain. But it's the quickest way of doing it. If you spend 3 days uploading it, what will you get done? That was why I said I'd do it.
Can I ask if anyone's actually gone onto the GoDaddy site and had a look at them?
Yeah, I have. I thought it was really good.
Everyone has it. Anybody else? Have a look at it?
It's all draft.
If we're saying our website at the moment isn't good enough to do the things that we want to do, it's a good idea about the needs and bits like that. Rather than having two websites or even three websites to the upper level, we've always linked to our website. Do we just need to review our one website and try and get it to function like it can and format it again? Find a different one that just works in one website that everybody goes to. And it has the news on there, and that's what it's called, and goes into it.
Okay, so from what I'm understanding here is that we have Richard's proposing for our existing parish council website to be revamped.
Or reviewed. If you can't do it, then you can't do it, and then you have to have a discussion about
I think it can do it, Richard. I think the idea was that it would take some of the workload off of me, so I would put the boring stuff on, if you like, so the documentation, the policies and the minutes and the agendas, and more community that would go onto that website and let Rob run that one. So I think it can do it, but it's, yeah.
The extra work going to Melanie.
Rob being
Yeah.
Yeah, we can look at it, see the template taken.
Yeah.
It's just that if you look round, in my opinion, and it's purely my opinion, if you look around the 2 or 3 villages' websites and what's available within the area, they're not the nicest looking websites. That's purely all it was. Speaking with a different hat, looking at the one that I built for Hall, we've incorporated online booking, we've incorporated online payment taking, that it just kind of sings as you open it up. And that's audited and admin mind me on a weekly basis, daily basis, as people send me things that they want to put on there, it gets updated. With the Black Centre just built themselves a new website, lovely, all single dancing, used on exactly the same platform, GoDaddy, by the looks of it. And the 3 L's website, no disregard to them, is shocking. And I just feel that if you look at the existing parish council website, it's not the best of templates, it's not user friendly. And that was the theory on this, but this was purely, as Melanie just said, it was purely to take a workload away from it. And what you'll see if you visit that, at the main name currently, is purely a draft. It's open to discussion, it's open to what do you want to see, etc., and that was what it was for. But we can, by all means, we can look at the other option. This was purely something I did on my own back, because what I didn't want to do, and this is something I said in the communication meeting, I didn't want to come here last month and say we're going to have a communication meeting regarding the website or regarding how we're going to share the news in the community, and come back this month and discuss it again, and then come back next month and discuss it again. So the reason I've done this is to move things forward. So the idea was that if everybody could have a look at this, see what they think, and then we just make a decision yes or no, and then we can move forward with it. Because that'll be another month. Ultimately now, looking at emails from November, that's 4 months when nothing's happened. In relation to sharing information, and one of the biggest issues, which is why the communication group was set up, is that there's no communication, and we're not transparent and we're not seeking. And therefore we need to move forward with that. To alleviate the issues that have been in the past, in my opinion.
Into surgery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 2 issues here. We either decide to go with the suggestion that Rob has made, new site and take a punt like we a gamble, and spend the money, we might have sponsorship for it and see how it goes. Or we ask him to become an admin on the site that Melanie currently uses, the original site, and see if that can be used to do what we want to do as per the proposals for this new site.
Yeah. As a trial run.
Well, the new site will be a trial run. There's no guarantee that, from what I understand, there's no guarantee on the existing parish site that it has the capability to do what has been proposed.
Right.
And it might well fall over. So I suppose the question is, how does the council want to move forward, bearing in mind as Rob has said, that we've already had emails back from last year from various parishioners, and we've still not actually moved forward on this. So we need a decision today as to which route we're going to go down.
Do we need to decide today? Because it seems like nearly all of the council is not familiar with what's happening.
Richard?
I think what we perhaps ask Rob to do is to investigate whether agents and websites can do this sort of news and report back to council next month to see whether it can or it can't, or propose a new website. And that should be the, I think we should have one website, and that will have just a website that already got sponsored.
No, I understand that. I totally I'm aware of both of those sponsors. You're more than welcome to join in. I completely understand. Would council be happy that if I went away over the next couple of days and looked at the capabilities of the existing website, made a decision whether it is or isn't any good, and then come back to you collectively via email so that we can move this forward? Or would you prefer that we wait till next month?
I think we've had discussions about coming back, having council debate over email before, isn't it?
Yeah.
And see if it hides everything from the meeting, so it has to come back to next meeting.
Okay. No, that's fine. No.
Right, are you proposing that, Richard? Yes, can I second that, please? Yeah. Vote on it? No, you second it. Carried. Councillor Manning, your piece of
Yeah, I'll get in touch with them.
Right, thank you. The next item on the communication report, Rob's already spoken about the newsletter, the Village Hall website. And then number 4, it was agreed that regular surgeries in all 3 villages would happen twice a year, with the time alternating between morning and evening to allow access to everyone at least once a year. These ideally will be in April and October, just after publication of parish magazine. I should have been before. We agreed to visit homes in Three Holes and Lake Bend within 2 weeks of the surgery. Councillor Colin. Suggested dates for 2022 this year, so Three Holes, as you can see, 25th of April at 10 a.m. in the morning and October 24th at 7 p.m. Lake Bend would be the April 25th in the evening and the morning of the 24th, and of course Upwell has to have these surgeries as well. So they've been in the morning of the 26th and the evening on the 25th. So basically it's just 2 dates, April the 24th and October, 25th, sorry, and October the 24th. We need 2 councillors to attend each, and it's suggested that it's not always the same councillors that attend each one to make it fair to everybody and also to give an opinion. I'm not asking you to make a decision right now, but can you please have a think, and the next meeting with Richard.
The only thing I was going to say is that they're working days. We always have to have a working day, and we have on weekends on Saturday. It's difficult enough for working people to actually attend their evening meetings. It's impossible for them to manage to have a day of work and sort of have council meetings to return.
The evening one, I think that's probably, when we had, the last one we had on a, what day of the week was the last one we had? Tuesday, so that was, yeah, they were very well attended actually. But this is why we're having them in the evening as well.
I'm just thinking about the mix of doing it, because when we did surgeries before, we try on Saturday as well. I'm not saying we should have them all on Saturday or anything like that, but
no, I think the opinion at the time was that not many councillors, or perhaps councillors who would live in councils standing there, but how would councillors feel about doing, bearing in mind it's only 1 day, how would councillors feel about a Saturday?
I'm not going to have a day of work since the parish council birthday. I'll be on Saturday.
So if, for example, the 25th was moved to backwards to the 23rd, moved back to say Saturday the 23rd. Okay, can we have to think of 2 things then, please, and bring it back to next meeting? A, whether you would consider doing Saturday surgery, and B, volunteers please for the surgeries. We just need 2 for each You don't necessarily have to do the morning and the evening one, but you need some sort of rota. Is that okay? Yeah? Okay. Right.
Just to let you know as well, Chris Dawson has said that he will attend on some of them. He won't do all of them, but he will attend with some of them.
I could do the 30th, if you did the 30th, I could do it on the Saturday. But I can't do the 23rd.
Is that April?
April, yeah, I think I'm fine. I'm fine. More the merrier.
This point, the group does to improve communication between villages with the 3 hall committees next to the application. This is going to happen, we haven't got any dates, because that hall committee has contacted both the hall committees to suggest this, and Lakeland certainly has agreed. I don't know if we've heard anything from 3 hours. But it's not
We're going to go to a meeting in half an hour.
Okay. Point 6, the group didn't feel extra notice boards around the parish would improve communication with the council.
So, Christian, just on point 5.
There's no reason why. It means that primarily it was for halls, village halls. I don't know whether the other playing field feels as if it wants to join or should join into village halls.
This is a parish facility which has similar challenges.
It is, that's true, that's very true. So perhaps you'll put it forward towards your committee and next week you come back and decide whether you'd like to be included. Thank you.
On point 6, I agree about the ex-note boards, but I think the one that they tend to be in place because it's so old and antiquated. It was the original one that was in Upwell, the 5 bells.
Yes.
Then it got moved to opposite the post office. Then it got moved down to Lake End, so it's sort of 3rd or 4th hand, and it's looking at stage.
It's very difficult going.
Well, so can we have it to the bus stop, please? Because,
Yes, no, that's the bus stop.
one suggestion was to incorporate the in the bus stop.
Yes, the bus shelter is actually fully discussed. Under freehold matters, it's been on there. Right, the next, is that all from communication meeting, or do you ask? No? Right, okay. The next is the report from the land sale group. You've all had this as well. The council who wish to be involved in decisions regarding development of the land on their side met to discuss the options. So we use the quotes and ideas we've had from the architect who's been contacted and discussed various options. Richard, you helped write the composing a letter to various firms to ask them if they declare interest. Yeah, can you give us an update on this?
I think we've had 2 responses back. So he said, yes, we're keen, but I don't think they've quite got the full gist of what we asked them in the first place. But there's 2 that's come back out of the, 5?
Well, what was the deadline for this one?
This one.
It's Friday. So, come next week, we could have a conversation about those responses, those people who are interested, and
Yeah, the group will yeah, once all of them have been apparent that all of them have been received, and then there'll be another discussion about it.
yes, so we do need to take
We do need to get it for another meeting. Communication. Originally, you say all the interest was most likely in by the 18th, by the 12th. Okay.
And I think in the end, we can do it next week or the week after that. Week starting the 28th.
Okay. No, I've got stuff. No, it's the same time as the Village Hall, Upwell Village Hall, this is on Thursday, have to be there, no, you don't have to be there.
This is a roadway.
So if you're happy, if everyone's happy for the 28th,
What would you do first?
that's what you do?
That's all right.
Myself, Paul,
And
there's a lot of suggestions back here.
but it's basically, it's only going to be a very good community to put that kind of specification together for the two architects who are possibly a third one. Then you can leave it on do that for you. That's what I need for that.
Yeah.
I don't know when Paul's back.
We're not back to
I can say I don't think it, I think he's away for 2 weeks.
Can I, in that case, suggest that it's the 28th? I personally won't be there, but can everybody else be on the 28th? Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Hall update, we've had this from Paul. Already, we are waiting basically to see whether we can apply for the grant that we want to. We haven't yet had, we haven't heard from that yet. I don't know if we can actually move forward with this discussion until we know it, because there's loads been improving it. Paul has applied for another £50,000, which will be in addition to the £56,000 we've already received. Sorry? Six of which has already been spent, and we already know that anything we have to keep back, the £50,000 has already been granted to us.
but not to August.
We've got till August, yeah.
And we don't carry it over it.
Don't know if they've actually confirmed that.
Basically, they don't want to give it back because it's too much hassle to give it back. So what they more or less say is if you can guarantee that you're going to spend it, say, in the next year, that you can keep that money back as long as it's utilised for what it was originally asked for.
And then these grants can be phased up until we basically want to what
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're basically waiting on to see whether our loan is approved or not. And then we can move forward. Because if it isn't, then there's nothing after discussion, we just repeat level. Okay. Printing quotes for community magazine through.
The printer has a reluctance to put up his charges his public one. He just can't afford to carry on at his current rate. And there were two other printers, one of whom got in touch with Mary, and I think Kristen was following that one up, and then we were going to follow up another printer at the council mentioned in Down.
Yes, so I've spoken to the guy, and I can't think what the firm's called now, that's it, yeah. Spoken to the guy there, he seems very good, very knowledgeable. He also does Watlington magazine, so he's done these magazines before. He did come in a bit cheaper than what we're currently going to pay.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know what else what is the quote you got?
There's no response from the third one at all, so.
No response from them.
No,
It's 1 3, so that's 1 3 something there.
Is it
739.
739? 749.
749 and WMDS.
Who you're using now
Yeah.
comes in at 799.
799, so
Tree will deliver.
Yeah, price includes delivery to Upwell, the Lime Tree one do.
West Norfolk done.
Yeah.
The advantage for West Norfolk sign is that it comes to it, but printer is automatically in the car and that's the thing to me. Rather than sending that courier. Because the courier, whenever you need one, you can do it.
I think between us, we can work out who's going to be around to accept delivery. Because I've accepted delivery for the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So I don't know if that would be an issue. I'm sure somebody would be available to call myself or you to accept delivery. Or even Steve for that actually, if you ask him wants to.
Steve Willis.
You're right, okay.
No, absolutely no way Steve Willis. So we've got something of input, so that in the column of our pages is expected. So you've got Lion Tree, £50 around West Norfolk.
So, Council, shall we change to Lime Tree, so £50 for the magazine?
Can I ask how long West Norfolk's been printing?
Oh.
Where are we? 21, 20 probably 15 years.
Do we think that the guy that's held his prices back to buy the email, has put them up for 15 years and then put it up on the standard it deserves as a reserve?
But we say, I think that's a very fair point.
Okay. The decision is, do we stick with our current printer, who has stuck with us for the last 15 years, or do we move to Lime Tree for unpaid £50?
I propose we stick to the same.
For a second? Any other counter proposals? No? Any vote on it, please? Let's say with our current printer.
Yes, if you can, do that would be fine.
I mean, we've known each other for years, so...
Yeah.
Oh, really, I mean,
Thank you.
Right, moving on to note any health and safety issues. Has anyone got any health and safety issues to raise? No, I have one, which has been partially addressed. I had a parishioner send me photographs of the grating and the potholes at the entrance to the car park here. I do know that already the planning committee has addressed the grating and that has been repaired and put back in place.
I ask that parishioners contact the playing field and not the village hall or the parish council.
Probably because they think...
I know they all
to the
do,
hall and
and I
parish
can't
council.
really address that as well.
They did also mention the potholes. I'm not too sure which side of the gate the potholes are, and I'm assuming that if you go along the level of the outside fence, that the playing field how far does the land go? Is it just to the gate, or what about the entrance? Is that playing field as well?
Don't think it's fair. We've never done anything with it.
Okay.
It could be horrible. It's another story.
Okay, so basically then the potholes in question are on the road side of the gate, then basically the parishioners will have to go and lodge it on the left side of the pothole. Otherwise, if it's on the playing field, please can you have a look at it on behalf of the playing field and see what comes down. Right, finance.
The payments all went ahead this month. I don't think there's anything particularly on there. Is anything noticeable?
I've got money under the unusual expenses. Team cut the notes board of 810.
Yes.
Is that a padlock now?
No. It's
No, it wasn't actually cut then.
no, it's one of those.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
what it was.
CT, oh, last time I went past, it wasn't a padlock on
No,
it.
it's one of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that the payment since the last meeting, you're happy with that, that was emailed round through, yes? And just to note the income and expenditure balances reconciled from the previous month.
Yeah, nothing exciting to report on there either. Is that approved, Chair?
Approved, yes? Okay, thank you very much. Discussing the concerns from councillors and general correspondence, Upwell matters, I've got on here.
I have none.
You have none, Lauren?
I had a message the other evening from a lady who lives nearby saying about young boys on their motorbikes. She was referred to me by the hall manager. I cannot do anything about people riding on the road, up and down. They certainly wasn't riding around the car park because I looked on camera. All they did is a wheelie from the middle gate across to this gate. What they do out on the road is nothing to do with me.
The report was, in all fairness, the initial report was that they were in the car park and doing
Just one.
wheelies on the gravel. So, I mean, that's what
No,
I'm
she
saying.
said on Friday no.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think it was,
yeah.
yes.
Well, I've been up here 7:30, 8:15, and I locked the gate. And there was just one motorbike by the gates there. And they were all sitting down there, and as I say, when I looked at that, I didn't get it Saturday night, I think, I looked at it. And there's nobody riding around the car park this side, because she said round the hall.
She did, you're quite right.
Yeah,
She said
there's nobody around the hall.
No, I know, because David actually came up that evening and had a look for himself in case there was something to be done, and there wasn't anything here. So
But we are not responsible for what goes on the
Of
road.
course not, no, but I think it was something and nothing. Having said that, one point I would like to raise, obviously, Roz would have locked the main gate, but the pedestrian gate was still open. So if you wanted to bring a motorbike,
You can get in through there, because we've got a pedestrian gate there as well. Yeah, so they can get in
they
tonight.
can get in.
But you've got to have them open because of the defib. You can't lock that gate.
No. But no, you're right, the complaint was made, but actually it was nothing, it wasn't actually.
I did make a note of the registration.
It wasn't actually.
When I came up.
Nothing, it
Yeah.
wasn't actually where it was reported to be happening, as you quite rightly say. it's
I just told it in the sleep
You
another
can't-
time.
You can't do that
Yeah.
either. Okay, no more Upwell matters? Let's then discuss the bus stop and trod to the bus stop. Okay, quotes were obtained for the new bus shelter, which is going to be installed at Welle Film Village Hall, following complaints of residents that they park from the hall to the bus shelter. At the time it was thought impractical to move the bus shelter, it's not likely it survived being moved. The location for the shelter to the right of the gate, as you look at it, was identified in two quotes were obtained, which namely got for one from Westertech, 6,450 plus VAT, and one from Croedge, 4,265 plus VAT. Both were very similar. It was suggested it may be cheaper to install a new footpath from the gate to the existing bus shelter, and then we got quotes from NCC Highways, two quotes for a tar and chip surface at 3,700, and for an asphalt surface at 4,900. So the council is asked to consider which of these options we favour. There has been a suggestion that the current bus shelter is in dilapidated state and should be replaced anyway. So if the option of constructing a path to the existing shelter is chosen, then replacement of the existing shelter should be considered in next year's financial expenditure.
Can you buy the shelter either through the parish partnership or putting it in for the next time bill?
Okay.
That is where I suggest you take that, because the monies are there, and if you don't put in for it, especially late then, because obviously a lot of money has come actually to Upwell to the hall. These other little villages, if you don't put them in, you won't get considered. And they do it again in July. I know it's a little time, but it's soon coming up, it will go. But you start in July, you know, it's
Okay.
free.
That's a good point.
This also has offered us £1500 and water costs, or finding for more to that over. Having been down there to have a look at and pointed out the notice board place, is that what you think?
No.
And that since there's £500 on the Christmas tree, the bus shelter and trolley, and you're living £50 towards it. I would like to see the bus shelter and £500 on the still seeing.
I don't know if you can pick and mix. I can't give you that answer at the minute. It might be all a bit or a bit, I don't know. I'll go back to the lady and ask her if they've got so like 1,500 towards it, can you make it up with the other bit? That I'm not sure, but I'll find out the answer tomorrow. Yeah.
Still quite like match funding, don't they? Some kind of match
Yeah,
funding.
so if we can do something, we can try.
We've not actually had anybody to say how many people use the bus shelter or try to use the bus shelter at Lake End. That's one point. We don't exactly know the frequency of the buses that use Lake End. So I'm just sort of concerned that we're providing brand spanking new bus shelter for probably one or two people. There's a suggestion that the club bus shelter is a dilapidated state. Well, I don't know who made that suggestion, because I went and had a look at it. It's got a perfectly good shelter roof, it's got some people stand under it, they don't get wet. It's got a back and two sides, which is what new bus shelters have. The only difference is new bus shelters are perfect, if somebody could go with a paint spray can and repeat the overloaded the full road one and the one at the top of the town is closed. So there's nothing wrong with the existing bus shelter. I'll guarantee in its current state it won't fall over because it's currently bolted to 2 6-inch concrete posts mounted at the back of it. So while it's still standing there, it's as solid as rock. I would probably think if we want to smarten it up, we send our groundsman down and ask them to give it a couple of coats of wood preserver to smarten it up. The first coat soaked in little sponge, so just to smarten it up. I was told initially that a trod wasn't possible, but when I met with Andy Wallace to discuss the location of the mirror, and I just mentioned it to him, and he just looked down and said, yeah, no problem. We've got curbing down the side of the road, yes, we've got trod in there, no problem. We've got an existing concrete base, we've got the ramps which go up to the sills of the bus, we've got the bus stop flagpole, so we haven't got to go through all the procedure of getting the bus stop, the fitting moved, putting in new hard standing. We've got everything there, and as it says at the bottom, you could consider the new bus shelter there if the need arises, not necessarily in the next financial year, but if it does become a dilapidated state. So I'm in favour of going down the route the trial at the moment. It's the most economical, most direct route to something that's already there.
In answer to Andrew's questions, that is the timetable. There's a daily service to Wisbech and a daily service to down the market, and a Saturday service and home service both. Passenger numbers are currently very, very low. There will be a monthly total between 10 and 20. But since bus shelter, that was for the minimum winter, but there is a school bus service, which I think is probably the most important consideration. And we should also be encouraging the use of sustainable transport, so I think we certainly need to do something. In November, passenger numbers were 12, December 9, and January 16. But that is the worst of the winter. And bus service is an absolute lifeline for those people who are like you said, school bus and stop there, and that is where we use the school bus.
Wasn't we led to believe that the bus shelter was in a dilapidated state?
Well, I went down and looked at it. Inside is, it's got OSB,
That's like Andrew said, obviously he knows what he's talking about.
It's not going to fall down.
No.
But the difference between the cost of the trolley and the bus shelter is about £500. And since it's likely to increase as well funded, to prospect bus shelter for the people of Wellington, which would encourage the use of sustainable transport.
I'm sorry, it won't.
Well, I'm asking, would it be a benefit for the user?
Definitely, yeah. But it won't encourage sustainable transport, having a bus shelter. It's just availability of the bus that's more important.
Well, I just said there's a quite daily service down and a daily service with each.
I know, and have you seen how many's on it when they come past? Because I have. Zero sometimes.
I know, I've just given you the test
Yeah.
numbers, and they are very, very low.
So, okay, so Andrew has proposed that we leave the bus shelter as it is, but do it up a bit, and have a new trolley put in. And Prue is suggesting, are you suggesting we have a trolley put in as well?
No, I'm suggesting that we would make bus shelter.
That the bus shelter moved.
Bus shelter route for it all, and the bus shelter.
If they know up to the village hall, how does it go on for the land? Who does the land belong to? Would it be allowed to put it on it? If it did, in years to come, somebody would come along and say, oh, that land is ours. We've got a place to keep there.
Yeah, well, where the Lake Film is concerned, the whole facility is public. Not any particular village hall as such. And for all the years it's been used, since 1965, there's never been a trustee properly set up. There is this year, thanks to Clergy and Can, who's organising it for them. So we now do have 5 trustees, and I can't say there's a problem. My one
have
concern,
agreed we can put it there.
yeah, my one concern about the current bus station is the point of where the hall is. They have to have a light on and it's open, and no security problems with it. I'm a little bit concerned about, as an ex-police officer, about the position of the bus stop.
So also, if you move it that way, you're closer to the junction. Where this
I
way.
think our past the junction is where we're proposing to have it.
See, that's what I think, well, if you bus stop there, and you've got a junction just for that, we're back here, you see, the bus stop.
It is right over, but it is in over 15 metres from the junction, which is required.
How many years has that bus stop been there and never, ever been a problem, even with the grass verge, to get to it? Now we're talking about a whole new bus shelter, just because one person said they can't get to it. One or two people per month that
School bus patronage that promoted this more.
Yeah, but they don't have to stand that bus shelter. School road, they stop just after the old Baptist Chapel, the school road going, and they get dropped off opposite Baptist Road, coming home. They haven't got a bus shelter standing when I see them around. And at the moment, you probably see that nearly all of the stops where the buses pick up the school children haven't got.
No bus shelter.
No
bus shelters. There's not one out here either. They stand underneath the tree, wait till the bus comes.
At the moment, we discussed point notice and maybe Upwell needs a bus shelter in people who knows, but at the moment we're discussing Welle Film bus shelter.
Well, it's too low.
If you don't put a new bus shelter, they've already said what we do want doing with the old one, cost takes down. If the council decides to go to a whole new bus shelter moved outside the village hall, I would like to see the old bus shelter removed, two concrete posts that it sticks to removed, and the hard standing, everything removed, what is there with the existing bus shelter. but it's not going to be there in perpetuity doing nothing. So I'd like to see them removed and transferred to the state if the council wants to go for the whole number.
Okay, so Andrew is proposing that the bus shelter stays where it is, and a new rod is built up to it, and that with some assistance to etc. the surround and the current bus shelter is revitalised.
Or would they call it?
Revitalised, okay. And Crewe is proposing that the opposite of the bus shelter actually gets moved to outside the village hall and its ground near. So, who is Andrew, your proposal?
Second.
Your second. Can we have a vote on Andrew's proposal?
Well, that's everybody, that's that.
Okay, yes, carried. So we will have the new trod, please.
Which surface are you going to have? Tar and chip, the cheaper one?
Right, can we now vote on what surface we're going to have, either the tar and chip, which is 3,700, or the asphalt, which is 4,900, bearing in mind that we can have some money from Chris, and there are billions going to discuss and get back to us.
Yes.
So it's going to last longer.
So, can we propose that the asphalt surface, yes, Andrew, second, Roz, all in favour? Carried. Okay. Melanie, perhaps you'll put the ball in motion to facilitate that, please. Okay. Whilst we're on the subject of Lake End, the Lake End notice board, as we've already said, is dilapidated and falling to bits. Is it repairable?
No. I've done it, but
It's
it's
3,000 years old, isn't it?
In which case we need to replace it. Can we get some quotes for replacing it?
Can I ask a question, please? I'm sorry to interrupt a bit, but there's other thoughts coming along as you're talking. Is it the village hall committee who's applying to this board, or the village hall?
No, what it is, the village hall, it's actually the parish board, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the parish board, yeah, that needs taking. But the village hall committee actually putting in planning commission because their own little notice board as well, so they can put just all items on it. So, but no, this is the parish notice board we're talking about.
Right.
Well, if we replace the parish notice board, make the village hall committee will have a particular put their own notice in it, which they do with the current one.
Yes, I can do.
That was it would save them having to spend some money on another second one.
Can we get some quotes on, I suppose, for the
I've had a look.
Yeah.
I'll forward it to Melanie and whatever the next meeting.
I'll take it from there. Yeah, thank you. I'll let Blake I'll let Blake know about the notice board, the ball or not necessary. Notice board and all. Right. To propose new items for the next meeting agenda, and you have those. I'll have those in memory for 5 or 10 minutes before. Or
Yeah, at least a week
at least a week before the next meeting. Richard?
Do you want to propose moulds and riverbanks?
Yeah.
They're all along.
Propose what, sorry?
Moulds and
Moulds.
riverbanks.
On the riverbank. All over. We've got more over Pineville, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, can we get it done free by environmental people?
No.
As well?
No, we don't do anything for roads.
We just have Danny out on the thing and I'll catch him.
He's busy, too busy, because he hasn't got any tracks left, because I've asked him to put ones on the landfill.
Only last week.
He said, I'll get there when I've got tracks available.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So are we talking about the riverbank?
yeah, all along the verge of the road.
The riverbank, not
Yeah.
The riverbank.
commission.
Sorry?
The riverbank, not the Level Commission's responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's,
We've got no end.
yeah, more than I've ever seen it.
I doubt they're going to go.
They won't go away. One is down, they'll come up.
Right, to note, next parish council meeting, which is the parish assembly. So it should start at 6:30, followed by a full council meeting at 7 o'clock here at Upwell Village Hall.
Can we have date involvement for the I'm actually said down there on 4,
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Meeting closed at